Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Failure Effect, a show about reclaiming the word failure and turning it into success. I am your host, Wayua Muli, and today we're going to bring you a show with a little bit of difference. As you can see, I'm wearing my workout gear, as is my guest, because today we'll be talking about fitness, specifically the whole point of getting your mind to control your body in order to surmount incredible physical challenges. Now, our guest cycled from Nairobi to Mombasa to raise funds for a school and nearly gave up multiple times along the way. So, we're going to be talking to him about exactly what he did in order to complete the journey and raise the funds that he did, and also how much money he raised and what it's going towards. And finally, if there's any way that the rest of us can chip in and contribute. So, today we're speaking to Butch Singh. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Waiwa. Thank you very much.
All right. It's lovely to have you on the show. Yeah.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. So here is the thing that I notice about you. You're one of the most incredibly positive people that I know. Like you're such a ray of sunshine. Like every conversation with you is always there's something inspiring that you have to say. There's something encouraging that you have to say. Where'd you get that energy from?
So Waiwa, a lot of the time when you do train and you're working out, there's a lot of endorphins that come out of your body. I stopped the whole alcohol and smoking a while back. So a lot of my friends ask me, where do you get your fun from? And as strange as it may sound, a lot of the time I'm just bouncing off the walls because of the endorphins. You run,
Wow.
there's an endorphin. You cycle, there's an endorphin. You work out. There are these happy things that are always happening to you. And there's a whole bunch of other things I do spiritually that just make me just want to just live life a little bit more every day, basically. So it's exciting to be excited. I mean, why
Wow.
not just wake up and be happy, right?
Yeah.
Because Kesho is not for sure, which is
This
so sure.
This is absolutely true.
Yeah.
And there's a place that you're coming from with all of this because I know how heavy was the drinking and the smoking before you quit?
Hectic. Well, I used to smoke a pack a day for a good 25 years. So ultimately, I think I worked out some mathematics where I smoked almost 200,000 cigarettes in half my life,
My
almost.
goodness.
And well, I stopped smoking. And then the drinking was binge drinking on a weekend, which is, I think, the worst kind of drinking. And you just get messed on a Wednesday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you're offline for 3 days. And then when I started training and all, it was counterproductive, the drinking. So I just said, no, I stopped that. The smoking, obviously, I just went cold turkey one day and said, Sitaki, I am just done. And I stopped.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what inspired this? Like what was the reason for the big change?
Well, mom passed away about 3.5 years ago. And, your mom and your dad live together. They live separately from us, from my wife and I. So, you don't invest that much time with your family, with your mom and dad. And then obviously one of your parents passed away, so you kind of adopt the other parent. So then my dad says to me the next day, like, look, we kind of need you now more. So I asked myself a question that how much more of me do I need to give out there for obviously my wife and my dad now? So that transformed my entire life. And I tried hundreds of times to stop. And you go under oxygen because I'm asthmatic, and you go to hospital all the time, and you're smoking and you're inhaling your inhaler. And I just never looked back. The next day, I just put them down, and it was, as they say, you can either stop something out of something good or something heavy, and that's what basically just said, I got to just stop.
Okay.
Ultimately.
And that was 5 years ago. You were 43 at the time.
Actually, 3.5 years ago, it all stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, about
right.
3.5, 4 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So essentially, you did pick up working out because you're 48 now. So you picked up working out between the ages. Well, pretty much what a lot of young people would consider fairly advanced in age. You and I know that that's not the truth. So, but what was it like picking up a workout routine at that point in time?
So I'm alumni St. Mary's.
Yeah.
There you go. Probably went to one of the best schools back in the 90s, and I'll say it openly, right?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Indeed, as
Mm-hmm.
you do.
Yeah.
And St. Mary's taught us the value of sports.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of values, but especially what I did take from Saints was sports.
Mm-hmm.
And my peer group is also sport. Sport, they love sports. So you do a bit of this and that over the years. And then all of a sudden, one day, my friend says, I'm joining a cycling group. And I said, cool, let's do this. So I took a 20-year-old bicycle of my father-in-law, which is about 25 kgs heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and went to Nachu Caves up in just next to Wayaki Way. And what took them an hour and a half took me 4 hours.
Wow.
And I was dead, and I swore I'll never touch a bicycle again. And I was back on a bike the next week. So I think I just understood really quick that I'm in zero shape.
Mm-hmm.
It actually put fear in me
Right.
that this is how badly off I am. And I don't know if it puts fear in other people, but if you cannot even run 50 meters, tomorrow, God forbid, you're in a scenario where you need to swim, run, or get to someone who you love,
Yeah.
you can't even get there.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to be in that predicament. I never did. And these are the kind of things I put in my brain.
Uh-huh.
So I just decided, let me just start cycling. And there are these three lads up in Lukenya. There's John Seno, there's Arab Kadu, and there's Doug's. And these boys were part of my journey. So you cycle in Lukenya, which is, by the way, really beautiful.
Uh-huh.
There's like zebras and giraffes and everything, mountain biking up there. And they were patient enough to just teach me and make me understand what it takes to do this. And that's how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, I suppose, when you were looking for a fundraiser or an activity that you could use to fundraise, cycling then came naturally to you?
Well, you're talking about the one I just did?
Yes.
Well, so there was a bit of a journey to lead to Mombasa, so 5 years ago, I did the whole mountain biking. And then I also have another circle of friends who run.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get told, do you know if you want to cycle, you can run and it'll make you, it's complimentary. I'm like, what? Because these are ultra runners that do 80, 90, 100 kilometers of running. St. Mary's again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to run. And the first day I ran 50 meters and I was just sulking because I couldn't even run. So you have different muscles, twitch muscles for running and twitch muscles for cycling.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into running. And that then kind of complemented my cycling. And then I carried on with running and then swimming. And I stopped cycling, kabisa, for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I got asked one day if I wanted to do this cycle to the coast. And I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole plan came from.
Right. Okay. So now let's go deep into this plan. So what school was this you're fundraising for and why?
Kenya Kesho Girls School up in Kwale.
Mhm.
So there are 250 little girls. And Peter runs it up there, Peter Reinesar. And the idea was to raise funds. There's a couple of different projects going on up there. So you can either raise funds for building of part of the block or part of the art school, or you can actually even just finance a child for the rest of its life in that child's primary education.
Mhm.
So it's very simple why you are to say, cool, that's the cash after you raise it and job done. But now let's make it a little bit more effective. Let's ride to Mombasa instead.
Mhm.
So that was where that came from.
Right.
Yeah.
And when did you hatch this plan exactly?
So the plan hatched up in December.
Mhm.
And I had, excuse me, I had 3.5 weeks to train
Wow.
after
Okay.
after not cycling for about, I'd say 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your regimen like? Because that 3 weeks must have been intense.
First of all, you ask yourself a question, can I?
Yeah.
48 is not young, huh?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And as much as you do other things, as I said to you, your body is manipulated in such a way when you swim and you run, different things happen. When you cycle, it's an entirely different ballgame on your body.
Mhm.
So I went for one ride. I almost passed out. And it was really not a ride. It was 25 or 30 kilometers just around Nairobi.
Mm-hmm.
And I quickly understood I wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
If I had to do 500 clicks and 25 was not there, then I had to really put my mind to it. So I did my first ride where I went up to, Jesus, what is it called? Sorry, you might have to cut that out.
It's okay, don't
What is the
worry.
border of Tanzania again?
At Namanga.
Yes.
Yeah.
My first ride was to Namanga on
Mm-hmm.
a Sunday. So I went with my car chasing me with
Mm-hmm.
my water.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you take electrolytes and you have to have carbs. So the human body needs about 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour
Okay.
and a liter of electrolytes per hour. So that's my car
Mm-hmm.
and me. And you reach Namanga and you're dead. You're finished.
Ooh.
It's like you don't even understand the amount of pain you're going through. And that's your first ride. That's your test.
Uh-huh.
Namanga is about 137 kilometers from Nairobi.
Yes.
So I was like, cool. I don't think I can do this. I came back by car, and you question yourself
Mm-hmm.
because I think once I start something, I can't stop because you can't get to, for example, you can't get to a third of the way to Mombasa and say I'm done. It doesn't work like that because you've invested money, you've invested time, you've invested a whole bunch of things. So the first ride was hard. I did it back to back 5 weekends. I accumulated 1,400 kilometers in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday to Friday, I changed my sleeping patterns. I would wake up at 2 so I can mimic
Mm-hmm.
the wake up time every day to go to Mombasa,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately. So I changed my diet. I've been intermittent fasting for 4 years. So then you take it down, you kind of stop. So I had to put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
I put on 4 kilos on purpose so that your glycogen levels you can store more glycogen in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't used to it. I mean, you stay as lean as you can all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you're feeling a bit chubby.
Yeah.
You're not feeling very happy with life,
Mm-hmm.
but it works. I mean, it's quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was prep. So it's food, it's hardcore training, it's hill work, it's constant speed work, it's constant enduro, it's constant eating at different times, it's sleeping. You sleep at 6 to wake
Mm-hmm.
up at 1, to wake up at 12, to wake up at 2. Because I knew day 1 you have to wake up at a certain time, day 2 and day 3. The mental
Yeah.
is the hardest now.
Yeah.
It's like, when we drive to coast since we were kids, it's like 8 hours is a long time. Huh?
Yes. And you're just sitting.
Sitting.
Yeah.
You get off in Makindo, you're like cool, in Voi,
Yeah.
in Tituande. Pedaling to the coast
Yeah.
it's insane. It's insane.
But so here is my question. I mean, those 3 weeks of cycling to Namanga, no one's put a gun to your head. You haven't commenced the fundraiser yet. There's absolutely no reason for you to continue. So what kept you going?
I'm not a quitter, right?
Okay.
I have my own little like boundaries I set in my life.
Okay.
So I've set this ball in motion, right? Whereby I've got a really cool platform I'm working with. So I've sent my feelers out to everyone around the world saying I'm doing this, and the donations of Pole Pole started to come in.
Okay.
You're right. What is the motivation? The money's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna pay it off. Job done.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to kill yourself in the process?
Yeah.
I had to. It
Okay.
was a bucket list 2 years ago.
Okay.
It didn't happen. You're certainly motivated to do this with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a big part of me that says, I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Every year you need to level up. So in my world, I have done things where every single year I insist on doing something harder, and I must do it you can't fail it.
Mm-hmm.
So every day you're thinking, Sawa, I did X amount of kilometers today at this amount of elevation in 22 minutes. Motivation, I'll need to do it in 20 minutes. 21 minutes to improve. So what kept me going? I think there's this little doo-doo in my head that says I just got to do this.
Okay.
I cannot not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Okay.
did want to quit though.
Yeah. And then it gets worse because now how many kilometers to Mombasa again?
480.
Okay, so 480 kms and you do it by yourself.
Yeah, I had my chase car
Yeah.
and I had a pacer.
Uh-huh.
So there's this gentleman I'd met and he had done Nairobi Kampala, 700 clicks in 3 days. And I said, Karibu. Met him for an hour and said, listen, I need a pacer. Yeah. Just pace me just the way my favorite guy does this marathon and he's got his paces and
I think we all know who you're talking about.
we all know who we're talking about. No
Yes.
human is limited, which is
Yes.
my biggest slogan in the world
Okay.
because we are not limited. And I said, I need a pacer. So I jazzed the car and all you actually drink is your 7 or 8 liters of electrolytes the whole day. And they're these gels that you consume.
Yeah.
Because you need your stomach in a certain way because you don't want to need to go to the loo, for example, en route because it's not conducive. And once you hit pace and you have a certain cadence, you don't want to stop. Because believe it or not, when you stop, all the lactic acid just in gears
Yeah.
and you cramp,
Yeah.
which I'll tell you about in a bit,
Okay.
and you're done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're alone, you're on the road, you're cycling, and you'd say you would start off very early in the morning so that you could maximize on the cool temperatures. But even before that, what were you wearing? I know there's a story behind the kit that you chose.
So cyclists always wear padded pants. It's either a bib or it's a shorts and the top separate. So in training, it was okay. It's painful because you're on the saddle. Even the saddle has got certain gels. Now, I'm not built, I think, to just take endurance of those pants. I don't think anyone is because it was a given. When you do endurance, you will hurt. You will have saddle sores. It's a given.
Okay.
So then I said, I'm in pain. Gee, like, wow. And then I had a choice to either do that or try just going in surfing gear. Surfing gear is just shorts.
Yeah.
I bought these shorts and they're like silk and then I'm like, let me just try this. And guess what? The pain is less, but still painful. And I'm like, okay, what's better? Is it pain or is it pain? So I did the entire journey in surfing shorts. So I started in my surfing gear and my top. Started at 3 a.m. Started at 4 a.m. on day one, just outside the airport area, next to one of the hotels there. And it was baridi.
Yeah.
It was really cold. There's a certain parts where the national park, the winds just come across. And I swear to God, 15 minutes into this, I asked myself a question. Should I go back home? I'm not even joking. It was that cold.
Wow.
It was that unfavorable for me. There's a build-up. Wow, excitement. And then the anticlimax is like, apana. Cold feet before you get married, cold feet before Mombasa.
Right.
Head down in the dark, and you just go.
Okay. Right. And I cannot believe it. It takes me 2 minutes of running to decide, you know what? It's okay. There are better things to do, like maybe perhaps have a cup of coffee. So I'm in complete awe at this point, right? Now, the terrain from Nairobi to Mombasa is vastly different as you go along. I mean, it starts off fairly cold in Nairobi, and then it just gets hotter and hotter the lower that you go. And then suddenly you're going uphill at some point. Am I correct? Is this what it looks like?
You're right. I mean, when you look at the maps, what happens is you get this elevation where it shows you're going down to Mombasa. So there's this perception that, wow, it's going to, number one, be easy. Nope. Because this is down, sure, but there's also down as you go down, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not down. It's
Yeah.
down at the end, but ultimately it's up, down, down. So the day one is cool. It's cool. I mean, starting at night is baridi.
Yeah.
It gets a lot warmer as you get to Salama. But believe it or not, daybreak was daybreak was Salama, uphill. So the weather was great day one, I'd say. Once you reach Makindu, you're still okay.
Yeah.
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Now what happens is when you leave Makindu the next day, there's humidity, right? And there's fatigue. So now all of a sudden the weather, even if it's cool, it's not cool enough. So once you escape the night, which is 4 o'clock in the morning till 7, sasa the jua comes, and now it's not jua there. The tarmac
Wow.
is bouncing off at least 38 to 40 Celsius at its peak,
Ooh.
and then there's up there. So that heat is insane.
Yes.
But with the grace of God, or however you might say, with good luck, I think since I started mountain biking with the boys in Kenya, I don't feel hot.
Okay.
Even during our summer in Kenya, I don't suffer.
Uh-huh.
So it was not generally that bad. I think fatigue and all the other things which was happening outside that was impacting, but the heat wasn't so bad.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All the way down to Mombasa, you could manage it.
I could manage it. Yeah.
Okay. But still, because once again, like you said, so we're layering on different things. We've got fatigue, we've got the lack of padding, not as painful, but still,
No,
yeah.
the lack of padding, to be fair,
Yeah.
it was cumulative.
Okay. Okay.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It really hurts. Believe it. And there's a lot of rumble strips as well.
Yes.
And the road is not flat like glass. It's like even in a car, you don't feel it, but just little bits of just unevenness because the tires are that thin
Yeah.
of the road
Yeah.
bike, literally. The vibrations are insane. So you are
Right.
literally doing that the entire 480 clicks to Mombasa, non-stop.
Okay, so what is going through your mind this entire time? It's just like, what were you thinking?
There's a place, when I was training, there's a place called Kumpa. As you get to Namanga, you start singing Oompa Loompa songs.
Uh-huh.
You just tell yourself you have to do. I prayed a lot. I really prayed. I just kept praying, and I'm serious. You just keep saying the name of God every now and then. Kenya is beautiful, so when the sun rises in the dark, it's heavy. In the dark, it's really heavy because, as I said before, you need to really dig deep into your mind. It's really hard because there's nothing you see in the daytime. I mean, the terrain is amazing. You see, I love the savannah, I love nature, and that kind of just keeps you going. Obviously, you'd chat with your pacer, you'd stop. I'd have my drink now and then. But what keeps you going? I think primarily you're doing this. You're chosen to do this for the kids, and now you've decided to marry that with your cycling. So you cannot separate it now. Now you've reached, on your way to Makindu. There's no turning back. In my brain, I can't say I've reached, for example, Salam. I'm going back home. I would not be able to live with myself if I had stopped at that point. So you drive yourself, you move, you say to yourself, I'm okay. And I think all the training, Wayo as well, I wasn't straining. Yes, ultimately you do, cumulatively, but at that point I was good until Makindu.
Okay, where it nearly fell apart.
Well, falling apart is, I think, after Voi.
Okay,
Yeah.
what happened?
So we left Makindu the next day at 4 in the morning. And the first thing that happens is I have 2 punches, the chain breaks.
Ooh.
All you have is the lights at the back of the car.
Uh-huh.
And we got that sorted. And it's just demoralizing simply because you have accumulated fatigue. I used 22,000 calories in 3 days of energy. So right now you've used about 8,000 calories over like the whole day yesterday. You haven't slept as much as you would have wanted to. There's a lot in your mind. You're once again waking up in the night. So it was just like, is this a sign? Is this a sign? One puncher, 7 minutes later, the second puncher.
Yeah.
And then the chain breaks. You're like, really?
Yeah.
And it's all in the dark again. And it's just irritating. It's annoying. It's almost I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, head down and go. You just keep looking at the tarmac because it's dark. The sun comes up, happy days. You get into, you get into towards Savo, and you get, you now, you, as you get towards like Voi, the terrain is entirely changed because you've more or less left a lot of the savannah, and it's a little bit more open, the way I remember it, and it's fun. There's a lot more animals on the road. I think you're now a bit more accustomed to the pain, the saddle sores and everything. So you're starting to kind of learn to live with the pain
Mm-hmm.
and the frustrations and all that kind of thing. So you just have to keep some positive out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there you go.
Okay. Is there a point at which your mind takes over your body and says, no, no, you're not complaining anymore. We're just doing this.
Day 3, you leave
Mm-hmm.
Voi. Everything's uphill.
Uh-huh.
I now left Voi at 3.
Yeah.
The other days I started at 4.
Mm-hmm.
When you leave at 3, Wayua, you wake up at 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
You've slept at 7. Your day starts at 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough because I was spent.
Mm-hmm.
I I didn't understand physically how I was feeling. My saddle sores were imminent. They were like unreal.
Ooh.
Okay. And I questioned a lot of things that day, why I'm doing it, should I have done it? You call home. I kept calling home.
Yeah.
There's a group. I'd even put like Google, Google Maps where they follow you.
Yeah.
I try to look for as much warmth, let's put it that way, from home because you don't have any inner strength anymore.
And this is your wife.
This is my wife, a couple of our friends,
Okay.
my buddy, my brother in the UK. We all have a group. So I said, look, just follow me as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And everything, I was trying to draw energy from Nairobi
Mm-hmm.
because I mentally had just said, Quisha, I'm done.
Right.
Physically, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just I can't, I don't want to.
Okay.
And what drives me, you say? I woke up and I said to myself, I've got 170, 160 Ks to do now, right? It's a finish line.
Okay.
And I found strength again in prayer. I found strength in my training. I told myself, I'm here because of that. I didn't do all that to stop.
Right.
I mean, I mentor a few people in my life. I've done a few things in my life in sports. And I had to remember. I had to remember why I was here in the first place.
Okay.
And a lot of that came down to why I was there.
Right.
Just to Sukuma and say, just let's go. The fun did come at
Yeah.
7 in the morning again.
Yeah.
When the lights came, and then there was this massive elephant, by the way.
Uh-huh.
It was literally, I'd say, about a foot away from you as you pass. You get to man-eaters and all that, and it was just fun. As you then come into Mackinnon and then Mazeras, and then you start seeing Mombasa.
Yes, the palm trees.
The palm trees start happening, and you're like, hallelujah, here we are.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But this is one for the books, yeah. The saddle sores are maximum now.
Okay. Yeah.
I cannot sit on my seat
Ooh.
for most of it. So I've had to, what we call in cycling, off saddle, where you stand on all the hills and you cycle. So some of the toughest cycling in the world is off saddling because it's all in your quads. I off saddled the entire third leg to Mombasa. I just, every hill, got off the seat, simama, and go. So I have never off saddled that much. I did it in training because it helps you.
Yeah.
So I'd say about out of 170 kilometers, I off saddled about a good 100. So it's just hills and just get up there. Just get up there. Just push.
I have no idea why I have ever complained about anything. I'm just like, no. My goodness, that is just like completely amazing how you manage to master your strength. But it's also important to have community behind you, no matter what it is that you're doing. That's I suppose that's the biggest lesson I'm taking away at this point right now. But I assume being on the road, there must have been chances for introspection for yourself. Like, were there any lessons that you feel you got from the ride that applied to the rest of your life?
8 hours while you're staring at the tarmac, you're
Yeah.
staring around, you're looking around, yeah? The 4 hours in the morning when you are in the dark, that's the introspection right there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get any deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
You are thankful a whole bunch more. You kind of understand patience a lot more because there's nothing you're doing but being patient. Your
Mm-hmm.
legs are just automatic now.
Mm-hmm.
The training helps. So let's remove the whole aspect of physical pain. So now it's patience. Being thankful, being patient. I think also understanding who's there in your life, who's been there,
Mm-hmm.
who's had your back, who's supported you. Not
Yeah.
only for this,
Mm-hmm.
you start wondering who has been that constant that's had your back since everything you've ever done that's ever meant anything to you. You start to appreciate people. You start to understand what they actually mean for you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go back home, when you get there, God, you have to get there.
Yeah.
When you go back home,
Mm-hmm.
I think how you're going to behave moving forward to those particular people. And I think those are the biggest learnings in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
was also very happy that I'd reached these points
Mm-hmm.
physically. And that's another learning that I've succumbed that much more. And I was, there's a certain person who once said, "Thank everyone, thank God." There's a video that's out on the socials. Thank God, thank your friends, thank everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But give yourself a pat on the back as well and say, "Thank you, Butch."
Yeah.
So I was also thankful to me,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important to understand the spiritual side for you as well, because a lot of the time while you're in your life as well, you will do things where you'll be thankful to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But when you imbibe that energy there, you send a whole bunch of happiness within you. It makes you a different human being altogether. Spiritually, I felt I grew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a quick one. The most amazing people on the roads in this country
Mm-hmm.
are truck drivers.
Really? Uh-huh.
I must have come across maybe 500-600 trucks in 3 days because there are plenty. And my biggest fear was what? Trucks,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a car, all you have are like I didn't have anything. I had nothing.
Mm-hmm. No
I had a car,
security,
no
no.
security.
Yeah.
I had a little first aid in my car.
Mm-hmm.
I had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fear because you're going literally hoping and praying someone doesn't smash into you, your
Yeah.
car, you don't fall down.
Yeah.
And every truck driver, if that's me, that's my car. Every truck driver was doing that and going well ahead of me and
Yeah.
then turning in.
Wow.
I salute the truck drivers in Kenya because they are the most respectable guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was so thankful.
Wow.
So, yeah,
And the buses?
the buses were not so bad.
Okay.
It's when you get into the towns and then the guys on borders and cars think that, you're in a rally and then they just come and do
Ah.
naughty things on the road. But yeah, I think the trucks and the buses behave themselves, especially at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what did you do when you got to Mombasa? What was the first thing you did?
So you get to the coast, you get to Mombasa town, you put your bike on the rack, you get in the car. I then told my driver, "You just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
I need to drive."
Uh-huh.
Sitting on that soft seat first, why you are? Heaven. Heaven.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel my backside for a moment. I'm like, heaven.
Uh-huh.
It ended too quick.
Yeah. What?
It ended too quick.
The ride?
Everything. You invest so much of your mental and physical into something like this, which is massive,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
And every moment of your living, of living those 3 weeks is just constant mental, physical.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's over.
Uh-huh.
I was confused, huh? So I'm driving to my hotel.
Uh-huh.
on the north coast. And I get there, and I'd eaten very sensibly for that month. I generally eat very sensibly in my life. And I ordered the biggest burger fries ever. I sat in the pool so I can recover. Some of the best recovery in the world is ice bath.
Yeah.
So if you can get in the coldest form of water. So I just stood in the pool and had my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I was thankful. I took a couple of selfies as you do.
Yes.
And I crashed for 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was done.
Wow.
I was spent.
So, how long this whole journey, Nairobi to Mombasa, how many days did you do it in?
3 days.
3 days. So, and what was happening at night during the ride?
So what happens is, so you have all these gadgets, right? You have your phone because it's tracking. You've got your watch, which is it's tracking. You have your track on your bike, so you're counting your calories, your elevation, your mileage, and everything. What really helps is understanding cadence because you need to be at a certain speed.
Yeah.
Because you need to work that out in your brain. So you get into wherever you're staying, and you connect everything, and then you get your ice bath going on, and then you have to eat, you have to feed. We call it feeding. And then you've got to understand what happened in the daytime. And then you've got to find rest. And you've got to find you time. And then there was crash.
Uh-huh.
I crashed every day mentally, where
Uh-huh.
I don't generally crash, okay?
Okay.
And this is not a guy thing, or it's not me trying to be egotistical, or there was some dark moments because, I did feel the need to cry. I didn't sob, but you just reach a moment of weakness where there are tears that come out of your eyes, and they certainly did.
Okay.
And you call home, and you kept saying to my group, I even on day one, I cannot. Adrenaline is a friend, and you sukuma, but when adrenaline stops and your mind kicks in, your mind is way too powerful warrior for anything. Do you know there's a saying that if you're physically good, you're mentally. It's the entire opposite for me. This has to be 100% tougher than your body,
Yeah.
because that's where the control comes in. You generate that from your brain. Makindu, there was emotion.
Yeah.
Voy, I was broken. It was
Uh-huh.
heavy, man. And yeah, you skuma, you push, and you say, I can't. So you make the call, and you're on video, and you get told these things like you see in the movies. You are not going to quit. There's no space to quit. And these are the things I've told people in my life. And then reverse psychology.
Yeah.
You're not built to quit. You didn't come this far to quit, and you need to hear that. And that makes you feel a bit more weak. But then when the phone call goes down, you look out the window. You're like, you talked about introspection, the silence again. You're alone again. You swallow hard. You gather up your courage, you go, Lala, you wake up and say, I got this. And you go again.
Wow. And so when you're having these breakdowns, it's not because there's anything particularly sad or difficult going on in your life away from this fundraiser. It's just the pure physical exhaustion.
You know why? When you when you do something hectic in training, you can maybe accumulate you use about 2 or 3K calories. Yeah. By voyage, I'd use about 15,000 calories.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even eating 16,000 calories.
Yeah.
I had just spent it.
Okay.
When you cycle, a lot of the time you think it's flat. They're hills. When you drive a car, you go like up a hill in Nairobi. It's easy. When you cycle, it's a different world. You're exhausted. You're not eating the way you normally do. I'm sleeping 4 hours a day. That's it. Because you can't sleep. How do you sleep?
Yeah.
You're thinking. You're just constantly telling yourself, I need to go. I need to get there. So you don't really get the hours in. It was exhausting mentally. And I forgot the question.
No, it's okay. That's fine. Let's go straight to how much money did you raise?
The good news is all my donors are absolute legends.
Uh-huh.
From 500 bob to X. Some people were kind enough to donate up to about $500.
Wow.
Yes, one of my good people up in Dubai, 60 grand, one hit,
Wow.
and 310,000. So the platform I used is they obviously take a fee, and a super platform, by the way.
Okay.
It's a Kenyan-based platform for crowdfunding. So they took a fee, ABCD. So from 330K, I sent 310 grand
Wow.
to the school.
Okay.
And what happened after, post the ride, they sent me a beautiful email saying, this little human is a person that you have funded for the rest of her education.
Wow.
And I was like, amazing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, now that's her taken care of for all her primary education.
Right.
And
I
yeah.
mean, that's awesome.
I had a choice to either do it for like a project for I think
Yeah.
a build out or something.
Yeah.
But I chose to go down that route.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what a lucky little girl she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless her.
And are you doing this again?
So why you are? I choose to level up once a year. Now, if I'm to level up twice, so I started by running, then a couple of half marathons, and then the triathlon, and this was like the icing on the cake. The guy I rode with, the pacer,
Yeah.
he went to Kampala, 700 kilometers.
Oh.
But he's an elite rider. And I don't think I'm elitist. But I'd love to do something which involves either a fundraiser again. It's nice to have a bit of corporate social responsibility pushing you, and as a plan, as a goal, it's amazing. Because you got to do it for something, for someone.
Yeah.
More importantly, what I want to do out of a run, a cycle, or a swim, the cycle would be easier. I think get more distance.
Okay.
Maybe go cross country or cross border. But maybe next year.
Okay.
For now, I think I'll just stick to just plan A, which is just my usual things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are donations closed for the school?
Yes, we can obviously reopen them. I can obviously give whoever needs, who would like the pay bill numbers. I can give all the information. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to use the social media handles, the contact details that you see on the screen if you would like to send some money towards this noble initiative. And thank you, Butch. My goodness, thank you for that inspiring story.
Thank you, Waiwa.
I will never complain about my fitness sessions ever.
You're looking great yourself.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We do put in the hard work occasionally, not as much as you do, but I'm completely inspired, right?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. And do please keep us updated the next time you do something like this, even if for another project, and we'll bring our funds towards it.
I will. Thank you so much, Waiwa.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
And all of you, see you next week for another one just like this one.